everybody. Hello and welcome once again to the UnLearnT podcast. I am your host, Ruth Abigail, aka RA.
What's up, friends? It's your girl, Jaquita.
You can see we are excited to be back. I was
Listen,
kind of caught off guard because Quita, I said something dumb and then she responded, and then we started the recording. So
she's rude. And I didn't see the countdown coming. I was like, oh, let me fix my face because I don't want to go off on this camera in front of these good folks because they came here to be empowered and revived. They didn't come to catch your heat.
whatever, man, whatever. Y'all, welcome to
Listen.
season 2.
What's up? It's season 2,
What's
man.
up, season 2?
Listen, season 1 was fantastic. We want to thank all of you guys for hanging out with us. I'm still catching people catching me in the grocery stores, catching me around campus, and they're like, hey, we love the podcast.
Isn't it weird when people
It
are
is
like,
so weird.
I listen to this?
Yeah, and I'm like,
It's
oh,
weird.
for real? You know what would help though? You guys comment, like, share, subscribe, and we would know. But instead, y'all sneak watching and then catching me. And I'm like, oh, for real? But for real, we appreciate all of y'all so much. It's been amazing. Just amazing to see the impact. And who knew these little conversations we've been having for 20 years
I know, man.
actually could help somebody.
Who knew? I mean, that's
Who knew?
You know when Quita does that, it means it's good. So just watch out for the in this season because you know she might do that a lot. And that you want to tune in.
I just might.
Yeah,
I just might, friends.
So season 2, I really believe, I genuinely think it's gonna be better than season 1.
I agree because we're better. Man, so much has changed.
Oh, that's true, Quita.
Things have changed.
What's changed? Talk about it. What's going on?
Man, well, I just feel like, we can talk about this. I'm in a completely different season of life, I feel like, since when was our last episode?
It was a couple months ago, I think.
Yeah, and a lot just went down in these streets, friends. Still single, just want to be clear.
Okay.
I didn't want people to think, oh man, she's off the market. Dang, I was waiting to shoot my shot. Darn. Nah, go ahead. Shoot your shot. I'm just playing. It's just jokes, friends. It's just jokes.
Quita wants all the shots. Do it.
It's just jokes until it's not. No, but hey, friends, I got a new job.
Hey, come on, new job. That's what's up. Congratulations.
Got a new job.
Got a little bit of a raise.
Hey. So yeah. But it's I really do feel like, the job is just an indication of a season changing in my life. And I feel like I'm stepping into something new and doing new things. So a more administrative role, working with graduate students, so working with older students who are kind of at a higher, more advanced level of education. So yeah, I'm excited about it though.
That's awesome, Quita.
Yeah. What's up with you, Rue?
I don't really have that much new going on. I just got a lot going on. You know what I'm saying? Like I just it's just a lot. It's been a lot for a while. So I did recently get to meet some cool people. So Angel Street had a what we call the Legends Luncheon. It's the first event that we've ever had as far as this type of event. So it's our annual fundraiser, and I got to meet some fun people. So I got to
talk about it.
I did. I got to meet Jasmine Guy from A Different World. Also from
Legend.
Hold on, she's from a couple of things. Most of you probably know her from A Different World.
Legend.
Spike Lee's, but what is she from? Why am I blanking? What's the Spike Lee?
School Days. School Days. Yep.
Yeah. And she's just she's an incredible person. She's so cool. And got to meet Carl Payne. Most of you also know him. Martin. Yeah, most of you know him from Martin. And he is so much fun. Like his table actually won a prize at the luncheon, which is fun. I got to meet Darren Henson. Darren Henson is, some of y'all might know him from Stump the Yard. He was Grant in Stump the Yard. He also I learned this like recently because apparently this has become like a TikTok thing. And it he's the choreo. He won. Did he win a Grammy for this? He won he choreographed Bye Bye Bye, NSYNC's Bye Bye Bye. I didn't
Really?
yes, I didn't realize that.
What? So the
Yeah, that's him. That's him. That's him.
that was a legendary move. Okay, we all
Legend.
know that.
Legend. Funny, Tyson, my kid, is he's been singing. He's
Oh
been
my
singing Bye
gosh.
Bye
Have
Bye
you
lately.
brought him into a boy band era?
No, it wasn't me. It's not me. I don't know. I think it's probably YouTube. I don't know what or whatever he's watching.
What?
But he is. I've heard him singing it lately. Like I wanna see that far out that door. It is hilarious. I have laughed
It's
in my
like, you know,
room.
it's like flare leg jeans. They always come back. You know, like
Okay, so I'm getting okay. So producer Joy is telling us that it was in Deadpool. Got it. I
it's
was
Gen
unaware.
Z call it the Deadpool dance now.
Yeah.
First of all, we don't care what Gen Z calls anything. All right. Y'all coming out renaming things. We already gave it a name. All
Mm-hmm.
right. We already gave it a name. Just because y'all came in and you're experiencing it for the first time does not now mean that you get to come in and rename it.
I mean,
We
it's
love
in the
you, Gen
name.
Z,
It's in the
but
name.
stop it. They're
Like it's bye
redoing our
bye.
dances.
It's bye bye
You
bye.
know.
Like it's not. You don't have to.
Yes, the bye
It's
bye
just
bye
dance.
dance. Everybody know
Yeah,
it.
that's just what
Everybody
it
know it.
is. So anyway, so we had an amazing time at the luncheon. Really impactful. Really, it's a lot of. It was it was full house. We really did have a good time. The Angel Street girls they sung. Everybody. It was heartwarming, and we got really excited. We got so excited we started planning for the next one as of yesterday. So
Let's go.
yeah, we're in this thing. So we met some pretty cool people. Okay, so Ernestine Shepherd is the oldest living female bodybuilder. She's 89 years old. She
Wow.
started bodybuilding at 50. She she was on a Steve Harvey show and she beat Steve in push-ups. It's a big
She not
thing.
to be played with.
Not at all. Sweetest woman in the world. She is so sweet. Um okay, and then the last one I'll mention.
Imagine having a strong grandma. Like, grandma, you need me to get grandma, you want me to get that box? Nah, baby.
I
I
got
don't
it.
need you to do nothing.
I
Sit
got it.
down.
Don't worry. And another one. And another one. Give me another one. Yeah. Uh and Angela Winbush. I don't know if any of you know who
Mm.
that is, but she is a legendary vocalist. She actually is on the one of the 25 people I think in the whistle register, so that means that her voice can
Ooh, like Mariah
go up
Carey.
like Mariah Carey, right? Or
Mm-hmm.
Minnie Riperton. Um
Yes.
and so, man, she was so cool. Excuse me. She did a video with some of the girls. They sung her song Angel, which is very appropriate because we're called Angel Street. And she was so fun. She was like giving out she giving out her number to people. She's taking selfies, texting people to selfie. She texts me, her selfie, and it's just like for one of the guests at the luncheon, she actually her sister is like Angela Winbush is like her favorite singer. And so she told her that, and she said her birthday was like in a week, and she ended up singing happy birthday, a birthday song, and she recorded it, and she get to send it to her sister. Isn't that sweet?
Oh, that's so sweet.
She is. I really like her, man. She's really cool. Like, I was like, yo, I want them to come back. Like, I just want.
I love it. I love it when celebrities are like good people, you
Yes,
know?
exactly.
And I feel like anybody who's coming to an event like that, like they are like just genuinely good people.
And it was cool because I don't think a lot of people expected them to be as personable, as like engaging. They weren't like off to the side in a green room and like coming, like they were just
Yeah.
amongst people, and that was the really beautiful part of it. They were, I think Jasmine Guy was giving somebody dating tips at her table. Like, it's just like it was cool, man. It's like that was
I wish
fun.
I had been able to ask Jasmine, how do I find my Dwayne Wayne?
Oh gosh.
Dwayne.
She probably be like, ask
Low
the
key
writer.
facts. Low key facts. Jaquita had a huge crush
On
on
Dwayne
Dwayne
Wayne.
Wayne. I was looking for my I don't know, I like him a little nerdy. I was looking for my Dwayne Wayne.
There you go.
Okay.
There you go. There
Hmm.
you go.
Except I was not at all Whitley. Like
Mm,
not even a little bit. But
with Jasmine Guy ain't nothing like Whitley.
oh no, she has said that
Like
repeatedly. She's
like not
like,
at all. She's
mm-mm.
No, it's which speaks to her talent. It's so fascinating how people can just turn into other people. Like,
Yeah.
you just flip, and it's like, yo, you thought they were this person, and then they're not. See what I did
Mm-hmm.
there? You see what I did? You see where I'm going? You see what's happening? You do not
Okay.
catching it?
All
You're
right. All right. All right. All right. All right. Today, friends, we are talking about personality. All
I thought
right.
it was pretty good.
Yeah. Since Ruth wanted to do transitions now, she thought she was smooth too,
I
y'all.
was. I was smooth.
She was like, "No, you're not smooth if you have to say, see what I did? You see it? Did you see it? That's not smooth." Um, but listen, we really want to talk about personalities. Personalities is one of my absolute favorite things to talk about. When I first found the test we're talking about today, the Myers-Briggs type indicator, I like really aggravated my friends very
Very
much,
much. Very much
very
so.
much,
It's
very
very,
much
very.
about all things personality.
Yeah.
I was really deep in there for like at least 5 years. It
Yeah.
was a
It's pretty bad.
consistent theme of
Yep.
anything I had to say about anything.
Yeah.
Because it was such a groundbreaking experience for me to learn that I was okay.
Mm-hmm.
Like that who I was had meaning and had significance, and that like I wasn't the first person ever to be like this. And that,
Yeah.
and like at the end of all of the tests, they tell you the famous people who have your personality type. And I was like, see, what y'all don't realize, see, is that like I think I had like Robin Williams, and I was like, everybody love Robin Williams. You know what I'm saying? You love him, you love me, So
Wow. Really big leap. That was a
okay,
big leap.
okay.
He leapt.
Too much,
A little much.
too much.
Yeah. Pull
But
it
I'm
back.
saying though, it gave me like a okay, like because I think, and we'll talk about this a little bit, like what it means to fit in a mold versus really coming into yourself. But if you don't know what the mold is, have you ever seen where people are putting on like Facebook? I see this a lot. People are putting like pictures of cookie molds and they're like, what is this?
Oh
Because if
yeah,
you're
yeah, yeah,
looking at a
yeah, yeah.
cookie mold, you really can't tell that this
Yeah.
is supposed to be, like, of course, we know the gingerbread man, and if you do a heart, but if you
Right.
do Santa going down the chimney and you're just looking at the shape of it,
Yeah.
nobody knows what that is. But if you don't have the mold, you don't have the shape of it.
Mm-hmm.
And so I feel like personality gives us the shape of who we are, and then we can begin to fill in the mold what's supposed to be in there.
So, so this season, y'all, what we're gonna do is we're gonna break down different personality assessments because we're here unlearning, right? I mean, at the end of the day, this is what this whole podcast is about, is unlearning things. And I think we've become like, and some in a good way and some in a not so good way, just very obsessed with ourselves, right? We're obsessed with finding who we are, our identities, answering questions about ourselves, somebody telling me, getting more information about how I am naturally and all that stuff, which is really a beautiful thing. I think it's important. You need to be self-aware, you need to know ourselves. And
Mm-hmm.
uh we can't use those things as an excuse to just stay stuck in who we are. um and so we have to, like, that unlearning process begin, anything you're trying to unlearn first begins with unlearning yourself. And
Mm-hmm. For
so
sure.
you have to unlearn parts of yourself so that then you can create a path of growth for you, and to become different in the next season and therefore become more free. And so
My
that's
Lord.
what we want to really like lean into this season, is talking about all these different assessments. Some you may have heard of, some maybe you haven't, and we're going to take them. So we're going to have our results, we're going to talk a little bit about them, and then just kind of share, from a personal perspective, and then like from a global perspective, how this thing looks when you evolve more into who you are and understand how to grow outside of what your natural preference might be. Like, I've always, I don't want to take us into a tangent, but it's coming out of my mind. This is always like stuck with me, just from a biblical perspective. This idea
Mm.
of was it 2 Corinthians 5? Nope, 12. Oh man, 2 Corinthians 5:17.
I think
Is
it's
that it?
12. Are you talking about the gifts?
Nope, I'm talking about the new creature. It's 5. Uh,
5 and 7, maybe?
nope, that's not it. That's not good, y'all. Actually, I mean, it's fine for me. I'm not the preacher. Quita should know this. I'm just kidding. It's Second Corinthians. The offense on your face. The
Because don't be outing me.
yeah. So it's in Second Corinthians, and I believe it's in chapter 5. But anyway, um, it says, if any person be in Christ, he's a new creature. The old things have passed away, the new have come. Right. A lot of you may have heard that. If you haven't, that's what it is. We're gonna get the verse here in a second, but that's always stuck with me because that's that the tension of how my natural preferences are versus how I am when I become a new creature is like I don't there's a tension there, and it should be like that's not a bad, that is a good thing. It's good to understand. Second Corinthians 5:17. We were close.
I was close.
Yeah.
I knew it was a 7.
Yeah, very good. So we I think, and so I know for those of you that are Jesus followers, I think this is a good um kind of thing to remember is like I was born a certain way. We were all born a certain way.
Mm-hmm.
We have certain traits. We have and it's a gift. God had put that in us. And when I decide to allow something else to lead my life, not just my natural preferences don't lead me anymore. Um Jesus leads me, therefore I'm in a different, I have to move a different way and against my
Mm-hmm.
natural way, then it puts me in a, I have to make some decisions to say which one do I give more attention to? Do I give more attention to like my own preference, or do I give an
Mm-hmm.
attention to a preference on a different path? That's going to cause some tension, right?
Mm.
And so
Yeah.
as that, and from that perspective, that has also been a reason, like my motivation for understanding this, and then like where do I need to really, where I need to make some adjustments, right? Like because I'm choosing a different path. So I'm choosing to step out of my own preferences towards something higher, and that's going to stretch me. So like what do I need to unlearn about me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not to keep and stay in the preaching vein, but it's just been something that's been heavy on me like the last week or so is First Corinthians. I guess we're just in Corinthians today.
Sure.
First Corinthians 13, I believe it's verse 11, says, when I was a child,
Mm,
I spake as a child,
mm,
I understood as a child, I thought as a child, but when I became a man, I put away childish things. And I think a lot of times we relegate child and man being to age, but
yeah.
there are things in your life that you are just underdeveloped in, that you haven't had, that you haven't encountered the need to have to elevate, mature, shift, and move into the next season of your life in that area. And you have to look at, how did I speak, how did I understand, and how did I think in that area of my life so that I can shift into this next season. And like I was telling you guys, I just recently got a new job, and it is causing me to have to speak, to understand, and to think differently about myself. And
Yeah.
I think that when we're talking about things like personality and all of these different assessments that we're going to be talking about, it is, the information is only the beginning piece of it.
Right.
Right, getting the information of who you are and how you operate, and like getting like the revelation. Right, revelation is great, but if you don't apply it, if you don't make that revelation active in the way that you are engaging yourself, the way that you're engaging relationships, the way that you're engaging work, the way that you're engaging ministry, then you're not actually getting the benefit of the information. You just have knowledge. And if we
Mm,
don't take knowledge and put it into performance, we don't see the production of what we're trying to do. And so I think a lot of what we're going to talk about is how the knowledge of these assessments have played out in our lives, and how we've had to kind of shift and redirect and unlearn some things based off of what we learned, and unlearn some things about what we have learned as well.
yes, correct. Okay, so today we're digging into the Myers-Briggs. And so like Quita said, did you got like a certification in this? Yes, like a
I taught I
Myers-Briggs.
No, but I
Oh,
did teach freshman seminar classes that I taught for 7 years.
oh,
And this
same
was
thing.
like,
You
Big
deserve a
thing.
certification then.
There's no certification. I
Oh,
mean,
there's
there
not?
is a Myers-Briggs certification. I do not have it, but I
Okay.
have taught it for many years.
So she's an expert. And so I we want to talk about so can you kind of describe this assessment, briefly, just so people, a lot of you probably heard about it, but
Mm-hmm.
you may not have. So just describe it a little bit, what
Sure.
it's talking about and all that stuff.
All right, I'm gonna give y'all a very brief overview. Okay, so Myers-Briggs is an assessment. It was developed by two sister-in-laws who kind of took together some phil- psychology-based understandings of what identity is, and they broke it down into 4 sections. Right, the first section, introvert versus extrovert, right? And it's not about whether or not you like being around people, it's about how you get your energy, where you get it from. Do you get your energy from being in social settings? Some of you like being in social settings, but it is actually depleting your energy, right? You're spending energy in social settings, whereas extroverts are gaining energy in social settings, right? Introverts are really kind of really mind based, memory based, observant, right? Really trying to understand what's going on in their mind. Whereas extroverts are really interested in how am I engaging with my outside world, right?
Mm-hmm.
The second dichotomy is how do I receive information? Right? Am I a sensor? Am I using my 5 senses to receive information? Or am I more intuitive and I'm picking up on patterns and theoretical ideas that I'm streaming together without realizing it, and that's how I'm receiving information that is often unseen or unnoticed by people who are not kind of getting those intuitive gut hunches, right? The next one is how do I like to make decisions? Right? Am I a thinker or am I a feeler? Right? Do I prefer to make solutions that are based off of logic and reason, or do I prefer to make decisions that are people and value based?
Mm.
Right? Thinkers are going to be really good at solving problems because they can take the people out and just solve the problem. Feelers are going to want to find solutions that work for everybody around the table and may not prioritize the actual problem itself, right? And then of course the last one is how do I kind of orient myself in the world? Am I a judger, which means I like to make decisions, I like to plan, I'm organized and I'm structured, or am I a perceiver? My mind is always constantly thinking through the possibilities of the thing, so I don't actually like to make decisions because that's a little stressful because my mind is not deciding between 1 and 2. My mind is deciding between all the possibilities of 1 and all the possibilities of 2, right? They tend to be more casual, go with the flow, flexible, right? And they're really good at ideating, really good at saying, hey, well, if this happens, X, Y, and Z, and if that happens, X, Y, and Z. Meanwhile, the judger has moved on. Right? The judger is they're quicker, where perceivers tend to be a little bit more thoughtful and intentional, and can be a little bit slower in how they respond to things, right? So all of those kind of ideas come together to give you a 4-letter personality type, right? That you can actually, if you guys go to 16personalities.com, and we'll make sure we write that somewhere in the caption, 16personalities.com will give you a free assessment, and it will give you kind of the write-up of what your 4 preferences are within each of those different dichotomies.
Wow, you're really good at this.
I've
Oh,
been doing it a long time.
I've never sat, I never been in one of Quita's classes, so I'm just sitting there. I'm like,
You
oh,
actually
okay,
have.
I have. Oh, I have.
Yeah, I
When?
taught Angel Street.
Oh yeah, that's right. Well, I was in it, but I wasn't in it as a student. You know what I'm saying?
Oh,
Like
okay, I
I'm not
got
gonna
you.
sit here and say I was paying attention. I was probably doing something else. So that's no, you did that well. Okay, cool. So
Thank you.
all right, so I think it's important to know this. Me and Quita are exact opposites
Exact opposites.
in our letter combinations. Okay. And as you were kind of describing each letter combination, because I think part of that being opposite piece, and I remember doing this. I've taken this test several times, but is what which like opposite letter gives me the most tension, like it drives me
Mm.
the most crazy, right?
It
And
depends on the day sometimes.
for me it's pretty consistent. Like the thing that I think it, any the p the 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 the
Mm. The P and
Decision
the J?
versus,
Yeah.
oh man, oh, it
Yeah.
drives me absolutely crazy. And but it was just funny. Like, I'm hearing you describe it, and I'm like, yeah, the judger has absolutely moved on. I am gone. Like,
Yeah.
you are taking entirely too long. Make a
And
decision, right?
so, okay, so just to give our full
Yeah,
letters,
yeah.
right? I am an ENFP, right? And we could talk a little bit more about what that means. But I'm an ENFP, which means I'm extroverted, I'm intuitive, I'm a feeler, and I am a perceiver, right?
Yep.
The casual go with the flow, but I'm my mind is constantly thinking through possibilities, right? And I hate making decisions. Absolutely hate making them, right? Ruth Abigail, my dear, dear friend, whom I have loved so much for the last 20 years, right? Huh? You
Very much
feel it?
so. Yeah, yeah, very much.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. She is an ISTJ, which means she's introverted. She's a sensor, right? Which means that she is the information that she's processing and going through is a little bit more concrete,
Mm-hmm.
right? She's a thinker, which means she's logical and rational and likes to like solve problems, right? And she's a judger, which means she likes to make plans
Yep.
and make decisions
Yep.
and she likes to have her outside world organized.
Yep.
So
Yep.
yeah.
For sure. Yeah, that. And so let's talk a little bit about what, because Quito, you and I were talking earlier, and how we kind of approached this when we first, had
Mm-hmm.
it. When I took it, so I did a leadership development class, and this is one of the things we did. It's in 2018, and so I have my results right here. And I look at these often because they're not they're it's still very similar, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, I've taken it several times. I get ISTJ every time. And this one in particular really kind of not just gave you the letters, but gave you like the range on which you were that particular letter, which I think was one of the most insightful things for me personally, because it helped me to see myself outside of what my initial perception was of these letters. Okay. And
Mm-hmm.
so I think, like, let's deal with the introvert first, because you said something interesting. A lot of times when we hear introvert, we see this all over like social media. You got TikToks, introvert, extrovert, introvert, extrovert, right? You got, all these different memes talking about introvert versus extrovert. And
Mm-hmm.
so we like to describe ourselves as introverts and extroverts. Introverts basically want to be in the house, extroverts want to be at a party, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And that was always it's very limiting. It's a very limited
Absolutely.
understanding. And what you said was, it's not even about whether, and we make it about being around people. Like, I like being around people, I don't like being around people.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not that, right? So it's an energy thing. It's how, what energizes you more. Does being around
Mm-hmm.
people energize you more, or does being kind of alone energize you more? It doesn't mean that you don't like, because even you and I have talked, right? You're
Yeah.
like, I need my alone time, right? Because there was a time where I just, and being alone did not, I didn't see that. Like, I was like, I didn't see that that
Mm-hmm.
was important to you. I remember like
Oh my
you
gosh.
saying that, and like, oh, I didn't know that she cared about being alone. Whereas it's like I can totally be by myself. I have no problem.
Mm-hmm.
And so anyway, I think that was understanding that there's a range to certain things, and understanding what things actually are talking about really
Mm-hmm.
helped me to understand me better. And then once you understand yourself, then you can understand where you can go from there, right? And you
Yeah.
have to know where you actually are. And so for that introvert piece, this is what really got me. Like, I was kind of tripped out about it. We had like there's like a grid, and my introversion is in the slight category. I am slightly introverted, which shocked me. But then I thought about it. I was like, not really, right? So
Mm-hmm.
I'm not. I definitely, there's a part of me that gets energized from being around people in the way I like being around people,
Yeah.
which could be very different than you. And so what that does is when I understand that, then I don't put myself in a box. Because sometimes I felt like I was in a box, and it's like, oh, this is just who I am. And I definitely had that thought process of, as an introvert, this is who I am. And it's like, then you're
Mm-hmm.
conflicted, because it's like, yeah, but I'm doing a lot of these things which feels very opposite of what this is. And then you have other people,
Yeah.
introvert, you're not an introvert. I'm like, yes, I am an introvert. We had this, this argument back and forth, but I'm an introvert. I'm not an extreme introvert, right?
Yeah.
um and I can find energy in being around people at some level. Doesn't mean that I'm to the level that you are, right? So
Yeah.
like,
No, for real.
those nuances are really important. And you don't, it's the box thing. Like, don't we can't live in a box. And I think some of us get real comfortable in that box.
Yeah. I think that a couple of things that came to mind as you were talking, like one, these are man-made,
Mm,
like scientific tests that have boxes, because that is how we compartmentalize information, by
yeah.
making categories, right? But these are categories that we have made, not that our creator have made, right?
Amen.
We are
Amen.
simply trying to give expression to what we have observed, right? And so yes, in this test there is introvert and extrovert, but it doesn't give, you're not going to get the full understanding of who you are and who and how you operate from the test.
Right.
It is going to be the starting of your understanding yourself, and not the full
Right.
explanation. And I also think, okay, some things that aggravate me though after saying that, right? A lot of people, I have introverts who say, I just want to be an extrovert, so I'm just gonna like start acting like an
Right.
extrovert. Baby, you made a certain way, and I'm not, this is not, I I don't want you working against yourself,
Right.
right? You have to learn to work who you are so that you can show up in a way that fits where you are,
Correct.
right? But we try to do the opposite. We try to say, for instance, I work in campus, or I used to. Sorry. I'm still, it's only been 2 weeks, y'all. It's only been 2 weeks. But I used to work in campus activities, right? You would think that people who work in this field and we're doing events, that we are out there and we are bubbly and we're like, hey guys, how's it going? It's so good to see y'all, and da 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 da. Most of my team were introverts, and they could turn it on for a little bit, but that's not their norm, right? I don't need them pretending to be somebody that they're not. Personality is about preference, right? You prefer introversion or you prefer extroversion. That does not mean, in all of these different personality categories, all of us can operate in both.
Yeah.
All of
Yeah. Yeah.
us,
Yeah.
I prefer being an extrovert, but please believe, okay, my personality type, ENFP, we're actually known as the most introverted of the extroverts,
Mm.
because we need a lot of alone time. And if you think about it, right, you can't, if you're going around saying I'm an extrovert, I love being around people, right, and you're constantly getting high off of that social energy, you have to come down, right? You're, when you are high off of that social energy, you're not high off the drugs. But when you are high off of that kind of social, sorry, these AirPods, they do what they want to do. When you
Sure.
are high off of that kind of like, I'm engaging with my environment and I'm getting more and more hype, you are not at a place where you're making the best decisions, where you're thinking clearly and really reflecting over your life. You have to come down and get to a space where you are actually kind of at a more reflective, more
Mm-hmm.
introverted space, so
Mm-hmm.
that you can really begin to really think through kind of like, okay, what is going on in life right now?
Yeah.
Whereas when you're engaging, you're at that high point. Introverts, you have to spend your energy. Like, you cannot just
For
stay in
sure.
a bubble
For
and
sure.
just keep getting more and more, in your reserved space and
Right.
enjoying you,
For sure.
right? That's not the way that's not the way purpose is set up.
Yeah.
Purpose is not set up where I just enjoy my time
Yeah.
all the time. That's not, and that's why you have personality, but you also have purpose,
Well,
right?
and
So you,
no, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off, but I think
mm-mm.
that the preference part of what you're saying is very important. Like, we don't. a lot of times we don't hear it framed, your personality is a preference. We hear it more so framed, your personality is who you are. And
Mm.
so it lends itself to be interpreted that this is who I am, therefore this is how I'll always be. And so that understanding that it's a preference, I think helps to like, that means I can always I can choose different, right?
Mm-hmm.
I am capable of choosing something different. So then it doesn't become an excuse. Your personality is not an excuse for you to just live in your preferences, to because though, like, if you are listening to this podcast, you likely are somebody who wants to grow. You want to unlearn. Therefore, you have a healthy relationship with purpose. And if you have a healthy relationship with purpose, whatever that might be,
Mm-hmm.
then you are required to move differently than your preference. You are required to
So
do that.
the way I always teach it is personality is about preference. Maturity will often require you to go against your preference, right? I have a lot of, when I was teaching
That's
undergrad
good.
students, I have a lot of students who say, "Oh, I don't like speaking in front of a room.
That's good.
I'm an introvert, so I just don't like getting in front of people." And it's, well, if you want the opportunities that come with what you say your career path is, or what you say your place of purpose is, you are going to have to go against your preference. And I don't think that there's anyone on this earth that is not going to have to learn to go against what they've become comfortable being, right? And this is not to say I believe personality is a gift. I believe personality is part of what God has created inside of us, right? But I also believe that we have not yet realized all of who we are. You know what I'm saying? Like, the different things you go through in life will pull out
For
different
sure.
pieces of you that have to engage and interact differently, right? And so when I say maturity will require you to go against your preference, for instance, the job I have now is much more administrative. I'm doing policy review and, sitting down and thinking through, just really administrative things, versus where before I was very much more transformative conversations, mentoring, guiding. Still have some of that, but way more admin. My perceiver, my flexible, casual, go with the flow self, and my feeler, I want to make values based, people based decisions versus more
Mm,
focusing on problem decisions. That does not always jive well with administrative roles. But there is a way that I can do this that will still work for me. I don't have to
right.
pretend to be somebody else to be good at my job. I just got to figure out, how do I, with my extroverted, intuitive, feeling, perceiving self, make this work in a context that I can be transformative in the space, since I know that that's part of my purpose everywhere that I go. And so learning how, not learning, I'm not asking you to change, I'm asking you to shift. And those are different. We're not asking you to change who you are. We're asking you to shift in how you speak, understand, and think about where you are.
And I think we're also asking you to become aware of where you are. Like,
For sure.
understand, because I think a lot of us, again, we're a lot of people who are interested in growth, change, unlearning, shifting your mindset. We're moving. We're constantly moving all the time. Like, it's not a, in some way, right? Because we're kind of hungry for that. And so
Mm-hmm.
sometimes when you do that, you don't have time to stop and process, and you don't even realize some of this you probably are doing, but you don't really know why, you don't really know how, and it's just kind of coming. And there is a point where you have to move from intensity to intentionality. And I think that
Mm.
when we are in our stages of just like, we're moving, we're doing what we do, we're growing, we're maturing, we're pursuing purpose, all this stuff, it's intense. And then you
Mm-hmm.
start to learn a little bit more, you gain more knowledge, you gain more understanding, and now we get to be intentional. So now
Yeah.
with you, Quita, like, okay, I think what you said was a great example of the shift in your job. It's really interesting. My role, I've always in the back of my mind been like, how did I end up working in ministry with kids where how did I get here? Because nothing about my personality type says work with young people. That doesn't, it just doesn't, right? And so I've always been like, how did I get here? I believe I was the God ordained thing. But one of the things, and even now, I do love people. I used to say I don't like people. That's not true. I do. Don't do that. I do. I
No,
do.
you do.
But
You do.
one of the things though, to your point, I've had to learn as a leader is to learn how to put a little bit more feeler into my decision making, because I am
Mm.
naturally a thinker. Again, on this assessment, so you have like, you know, I lean heavy. I lean slightly towards introversion and slightly towards sensing. I lean heavy,
Yeah.
heavy towards thinking.
Yeah.
And so my natural way of thinking is problems first, people second. I
Yeah.
like, and as a leader, that's not sustainable. Because if I'm not paying attention to people, whether that's the youth that I get to engage or the team that I have to lead, then the culture is whack, right? I don't have, the morale can go down, and I've experienced both of those things as a result of me trying
Mm-hmm.
to figure out how to solve a problem and not
Yeah.
really necessarily taking into account how people are going to be impacted by the way we going to solve this problem, right?
Yeah.
um and but it is my preference is, let's just get it done. Look, man, like I I would have definitely I would have definitely been like, hey y'all, let's figure something out. You know, we still gotta make this thing work. I'm solving a problem. Like, I'm not really paying too much attention to how people are gonna feel about that, because it's like we still gotta do what we gotta do. We still gotta serve the people. We gotta
Mm-hmm.
give them something that they like. We gotta do, you know, all this stuff at the expense of maybe, you know, us as people. But that's our job. This is our job. And I have that mentality naturally. I move like that naturally. But it is not fair for me to put that on other people. And I've had to learn how to go against my own preference. I'd rather the problem be solved and then me go and like crash after.
Mm-hmm.
That's my preference.
Yeah.
That's not a lot of people's preference. So I have to grow out of that. And so or grow through that, right? I won't say I have to grow through it, and I've got to be very conscious um about that tendency of mine. And so I just
Yeah.
think that's a really, like, when you said that, when you were talking about like how you know, the administrative role is a little different now. And so you got to find a way to tailor your preferences
Mm-hmm.
to this new role. And we have to, but it's about maturity.
Yeah,
It's about
and
maturity.
starting. I think maturity starts with understanding where you are now,
Yeah.
and understanding what's going to be needed of you, and being willing to make the sacrifice.
Hmm.
Right? I was just thinking about it, because like I said, I really enjoy my alone time, and I don't think a lot of people, like people who have been with me for a long time, know that about me. But I feel like some people who might be newer to the world of Jaquita may not really get that yet.
Hmm.
Like, I enjoy the come down experience.
Hmm.
I enjoy going into my reflective mode and into my thinking through and my downtime. Like, because I have to wind down, because
Yeah.
when I'm around people, I'm always on, because I'm also like, there's something inside of me that is an entertainer. And so, like, I'm always like, I'm either entertaining or I'm motivating and
Mm.
inspiring. Like, that is what I'm doing when I'm around people. But I need my time to reflect and to think through and to do nothing
Yeah.
personally, to
Yeah.
play the games on my phone. And I was sitting on the couch last night, and I was like in my nothing mode. Like, I
Yeah.
was like, and I got so much I got going on. I got a test on Monday. I got some stuff I got to be doing. I got some things, places I got to be speaking at. I had this podcast. I got some. I just got a lot going on. I got a lot going on right now. And I was sitting on the couch, and I was like, Jaquita, you are going to have to learn how to be more intentional with your time, right?
Mm.
And it may mean that I'm going to have to sacrifice some of my extroverted time to get into to get more space to do the work. because I'm not doing the work when I'm social. I'm doing
Yeah.
a work, but I'm not doing the administrative work. The
Sure.
administrative work does not get done in social settings.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Right. Transformative work, absolutely. Hey, baby, let me come in, let me talk to you real quick. I want to help you. Like that work gets done as
Yeah.
in my extroverted spaces. But the type of work I'm doing now definitely gets done in a more, I'm in this office by myself, looking through policies, you know, and coming up with ideas of how things need to change and shift. Right. Now I can shape it so that I'm getting to exercise my extroverted thinking a little bit and have conversations about what I'm doing. But it's absolutely a shift. And that's what I mean. Like but you don't know how to shift if you don't know where you are. And if you're not being real about who you are and where you are.
So how do you deal with people? Because I'm sitting here and I'm remembering a time like earlier on in our friendship. When we I guess it's after we graduated college and we're like, we're in getting into our lives, and there were seasons where I would call and you wouldn't pick up the phone. And I'll be like, wait a minute, what's she doing? Because Quita is like, nah, that's not Quita. Like Quita be blowing my phone up and be and like looking at you did. You would call me multiple times a day. And I'm like, bro, I just don't feel like talking. But I know me. That's me. You know what I'm saying? I'm
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna do that. But you gonna pick up the phone. And I remember there was a time, where you just didn't pick up. And at first I was concerned. I said, well, is she okay? And then I was like, hold on, like you don't no, you pick up the phone because you a people person. I'm not. I can have that excuse, right? So I rem, I
No.
remember when that happened. So my question is, you had to kind of like put me in check as a friend to be like, yeah, I don't want to always be talking either. And I was like, what you mean? Like I really thought that was just who you were. So how do you help people? How do you help people manage their relationships when they're trying to shift
Mm-hmm.
into a more mature version of themselves, which might mean people experience them differently?
That's good, Rue. I think when you got real people in your life, I think you have to be able to be honest and say, hey, because for me, what I came to realize was that some of my extroversion was also rooted in my people pleasing.
Mm,
Right. So and also rooted in some of my insecurities of not wanting to face myself. Because when I was in my extroverted spaces and I'm talking to you and we're talking about what's going on, or we're talking about what's, like what's happening, like I'm not having to deal with me.
right,
Right.
right,
I'm not
right.
having, because I don't have to reflect on how I'm experiencing things. It's also an escape. And a lot of people are using either their extroversion or their introversion
Yeah,
as
that's
an
true.
escape.
That's fair. That's good.
Right. Yeah.
Yes,
And so
for
for
sure.
me, the being on the phone 24/7, like I would
Yeah.
wake up calling people
Mm,
throughout my day. I'm leaving class, calling people. I'm driving home, calling people. I'm sitting on the couch on the phone. It was an escape because there was so much about me that I didn't want to face
mm.
at that period of my life. And now, to be honest, if the phone conversations are not
Yeah.
like
Yep.
are not like really digging deep
Mm-hmm.
and like
Mm-hmm.
and understanding ourselves and bettering ourselves and like
It ain't
pushing to
interesting.
the next level of our life, I'm not interested in that because that's not where I am. I'm not looking to escape
That's right.
into my extroversion anymore. Right. Because I've grown to accept more of me. And so I think that like as you are growing in your friendships and you're growing with people, I think that you have to be that I think every relationship is just going to have those pullback moments
Yeah.
where it's like, especially friendships. I don't know about marriage because I ain't been married yet, but I definitely think that like you have those pullback moments where it's like, wait, I'm doing this for me. Like I need
Right.
to take a moment, ground myself, and really become really comfortable with what's happening in me right now. And that may not be for me. I had to pull back to do that a little bit because I needed to stop escaping, and I needed to face
Mm.
me and what was really in me and what was really going on with me, You get what I'm saying? Whereas for an introvert, I'm interested to know if that is a different experience.
I think that's really good. I definitely think as an introvert, I have it was a little bit of an excuse to avoid vulnerability for sure. And
Mm.
being transparent and really like,
Ooh.
cuz when you can um when you just kind of isolate, and avoid kind of being in spaces where you have to be, where you can't hide. A big theme of my premature self was I like to hide, right? I
Mm.
was hiding. And so I used being an introvert as a reason to hide, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so it's like, no, I'm an introvert. I don't like being around people. I don't want to be in crowds. I don't want to be in public spaces, only when I have to, and all this stuff. And it was more so like, it's because I really just didn't want people to see me, because I was insecure. I wasn't really sure who I was, or I wasn't proud of who I was. And so
Mm.
um I think that escapism it's the same theme. It just happened differently. um I was escaping to myself and using my personality as an excuse to do that. But really, I was hiding, man. I just didn't want people to. And I think the thing that had to shift for me was I had to get used to the mature version of me.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? I
Mm-hmm.
had to get used to the Ruth Abigail who doesn't hide anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Which quite frankly, this podcast has helped me to do. I think I was doing the work before I started the podcast,
Yeah.
but it has helped because it kind of forces me to be fully who I am and not hide. Like, it's out here. This is who I am.
Yeah.
And then the response to that is very, one of the things that I've always been, I don't know why, but really sensitive to, is when the attention that you get when something new has happened in your life. I'm not a big attention
Mm.
person.
You're
Uh,
not.
I don't that's genuine. Like, that's not me hiding. I genuinely am just not interested in that much attention. And I don't hide from it anymore. It's just still not my preference. Like, I don't prefer to do that. I do it if I feel like I have a reason and for it, and it makes sense, I'll do it. But if I don't have to, like, I'm cool. Like, I'm just gonna be back here. Um but that newness of like, that wow kind of like, oh, whether it's what I'm wearing, whether it's a new season of my life, whether it's just a different energy that I might bring,
Mm-hmm.
that response just makes me uncomfortable. i
Yeah.
don't i don't like that. And so it's been, but to your point, the mature path is, regardless of how people respond to you, regardless of how that makes you feel, you moving in that maturity is more important. And then you end up getting, you find your way through that, and you get used to it, right? And then
Mm-hmm.
people begin to you begin to show up in the more mature way, and people get used to that. But then there's also the next level. I know that there will be another season of maturity where I shift, and it's like, I have to be very I have to accept how people respond to the next shift,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like, that is
Mm-hmm.
something. And I think, again, it's it's a mature mindset. Like,
Yeah.
it's a mature mindset. And I love that distinction. And you gotta, that maturity is what's going to drive you. If you're not
Mm-hmm.
interested in being mature, this isn't really for you. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
if you're interested in just kind of remaining at the same level, remaining in the same kind of place in life, this isn't really for you. Like, doing this personality stuff isn't probably going to serve you best. It's going to keep you stuck. But if that's where you want to be, cool. But for those of us that want to mature, you know, you know, you use, you
Sorry,
know,
this is Ruth Abigail's T and J coming out.
oh
If you
yeah,
want
for
to be
sure.
stuck, then this ain't gonna really
I,
mean nothing to you. But if you want to grow, you need to listen.
that's hilarious. I didn't even connect it to that, but yeah, you're probably right. Like, that's crazy. Like, that T and that J, that thing right there. Okay, so let me go back to this real quick, because I think this feeling thing. Because for those of us who are T's, right, we're thinkers. We're I like that problem versus. I have always seen the feelers as irrational, unthinking, like just impulsive personality types.
And see, this is what I have to deal with, people.
I'm
All
just
right,
being
I
real.
want you all to realize that this was me and Ruth. That imagine
It's true.
college age Ruth and Jaquita.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
imagine the judgment.
Yeah.
Imagine the dynamics. Okay, when she saw me as the weaker vessel.
Oh man. Oh man.
Oh man. I think,
Yeah.
but it just, we didn't know anything about personality when we were in college, but I know that we were always like, I'm here to fix you.
Yeah.
Okay, because something is wrong.
Because you need help.
I can't quite put my finger on it, but you need help. And because we didn't realize how different, we knew we were like complete opposites, but we didn't know that there was a scientific study that would give us full indication of this. But that's so interesting. I'm sorry. Please go back into your berating of fillers.
No, sorry. Yeah, I needed to say. Yeah. So I did. I've always had that. But the way that you described it in the beginning, when you were talking about each one of these kind of categories, is that feelers really place their values and people. They think about those before the problem, and that is a very different context than I've ever really considered it. Like I said, like I'm thinking, you don't think before you move. It's the impulsive nature. It's the it's the I can't explain why. Like that doesn't work for me. Like no.
Oh my gosh, y'all. The majority of me and Ruth Abigail's friendship has been me saying something and her saying, why? Explain that. Why would you even do that? No, I don't get it. And I'm just like, girl, just trust me. I know what I'm talking about, but I don't know how to talk about what I'm talking about.
That
just trust
drives
me.
me crazy. It drives me crazy. We had a conversation around like planning for this series, and we were talking about a particular thing, and I made a suggestion, and she was like, I don't want to do that. And I was like, explain that. Like, I don't understand why you wouldn't want to. And we got into like a 10-minute back and forth. And I was just like, I can't let this go. This don't make no sense to me, And but this is the beauty of like how we both grow and mature. And through that, because at the end of that conversation, I, against the better parts of me, decided that I was just going to be okay with it. I was like, okay. I didn't like that. I was like, I didn't like it.
And I'll say this, because just from the opposite side of that, like after that conversation, here's the thing. Ruth Abigail can do her processing in the middle of an intense moment. Right. As we are in the intense moment, she is like, here are my thoughts. Here are my perceptions. Here's what you need to be doing. And I don't work like that under pressure. See, that's the judger. Yeah. Judges work well under pressure because they like decisions made. Absolutely. But I need a moment to step back and process, because I'm not able to fully articulate, especially when there's pressure. Like when there's pressure concerning me. If there's pressure concerning somebody else's issue, I'm great. But when it's pressure concerning me and something that I'm trying to say about me, I need a moment, because my perceiver is also bringing up a lot of fear. Yeah. And so I am like standing in front of a wall of fear of all of the possibilities of what can happen that I can't express, because it is like pinging off on the inside of me. And I can't articulate that to somebody who is like, tell me why right now. And I'm like, it's so many whys. But I will tell you that after that conversation, I did have some moments to de-escalate, to de-escalate and think it through. And we'll have another conversation. But
that's good. But you even alluded to that at the end of it. You did actually. You alluded to, you was like,
yeah, you didn't believe me though. And I know you did it. She said no, and that's all it's gonna be. And I was just like, tell her, Ruth Abigail, hey, let me pray about it. It don't always work.
It does
Okay,
not.
like she's like,
Sorry.
no, because you could have heard the Lord right now
Right now.
and and known what you needed to do. And I'm like, well, actually, no, I cannot. And you're gonna give
It's
me my time.
it's such a growing moment for me, and I'm so grateful to have such a close friend who is so different, because it helps, like, even in being married. I mean, so my husband has not taken these. He won't take these I mean, he just doesn't like these. So I've tried to get him. I will say he took this one early on. We were dating, because we were still trying to, like, impress each other and all this.
All right, that's a dating tip. Get them to take them
Get him to
early.
do it. Yeah, take it early.
Get
It's
them to
gotta
do it while
be
they're still trying to impress you.
gotta be within 6 months. After that, the new car smell's gonna wear off, and he ain't gonna want to do it no more. But if you want to get it done, right, do it in about 6 months, and I bet you'll get some. So that's the only one we was able to do. He wouldn't do the other ones, but we but he ended up being, weirdly enough, the same one that Quita is. Now, I'm still not sure that that's totally true, but whatever. It probably is. But anyway, one of the things that I'm sure that he is a perceiver, and it drives me crazy. Like, I struggle so much.
After me preparing you for all these years.
I struggle so much, but I'm grateful but you're right. Like, I'm grateful for that preparation, because I'm able to be more patient, and, like, okay, one of the things, it's like, to his version of, I'll pray about it, or let me go pray about it, is, let's, well, let me, give me a couple days, right? That's what he says, right? It's like, well, I don't understand. Like, this is not hard. Let's just do this right now. Let's get it done. Let's make the decision.
Okay.
Right.
All right.
Okay. So, I mean, I'm just saying, thank you. I don't do it. I'm not as bad as I was.
Tell
It's
my
helped me
brother
to
I got his
grow.
back. Okay. I got his
Whatever. And
back.
anyway, this is an example for the people. All right. If anyway, go ahead.
I want to go back. I want to go back real quickly to that filler thinker kind of
Yeah.
dichotomy, because one thing, and I was telling Ruth Abigail this, that when I first learned about personality, before learning about personality, I found myself in a place of conformity, because a lot of people around me were thinkers. And they were telling me, you need to be more logical. You need to be, and it was really, it was coming from everywhere. And I think that was just a time period in, like, the way thinking was happening in the early to mid,
Yeah.
early
Sure.
2000s and 2010s, are that feelings are not important.
The
Are
information
that,
age,
yeah, the information age. Nobody cares about your feelings.
Yeah.
Right. And so, as a filler, I shut that part of me down, or I was really trying to shut that part of me down and think like my logical and rational friends. When I first learned about the personality test, and I didn't even know this much information about it, right? Like, I didn't know what it really meant to be a filler. I just knew that there was a category called feeling that I was, that a lot of people were, and that there was a validity to it, and that, like, there is importance to not just emotions, because I don't think fillers are more emotional than thinkers. I think we might be a little bit more outwardly expressive of those
I've had
emotions.
to unlearn that for sure. I've always
Yeah,
thought that.
like, there's this ideology that fillers are just bleeding hearts,
Yeah.
gushing, oozing emotions. And if you know me, that's not me at all.
True.
Like, I am, I am very heart driven, right? But I am not a crybaby. I am not, I'm not the person that, is going to sit and just ooey gooey feel,
Right.
but I am very value centered, right? But it helped me to feel empowered to turn that part of myself on, and to stop pretending like I had to be this cold, logical person, because that's how we start putting on masks. We start telling people, like, oh yeah, I'm smart, and if I'm smart, I must be a thinker, as if fillers can't be smart or
That's
can't be
good.
thinkers,
That's
or
very
aren't
good.
making good decisions.
That's good.
there are decisions that and the
Yep.
example or the activity that I use when I teach personality is I make everyone in the room a CEO, and I tell them, you know, we've been through some hard times and you got to fire somebody.
Mm.
And there's an old man whom everybody loves, there's a like middle-aged woman with 4 kids who gets her job done but doesn't go above and beyond, and there's a young whippersnapper. And I tell them, you have to fire one person. Who you firing? And you can just see as people are like bouncing back and forth between the logic and reason of how I make that decision and the but what about the people part of that decision. And I think that maturity means I can envelop both of those into the ways that I approach my decision making, right? And ultimately, you may make the logical, rational decision, but if as a leader, you cannot address the needs of the people and all you're doing is solving problems, you are
That's
going
right.
to lose your team.
You're gonna
You're not
lose
going
them.
to lose the one person you fired. You are going to lose your
That's right.
team.
That's
And
right.
if you are a bleeding heart that people feel like they can't depend on because all you're doing is trying to answer the needs of everybody and you can't see the organization as a whole and help us to come into our next level as a group by
Mm.
like really making the hard decisions, somebody has to make the hard decisions that nobody wants to make,
Yep.
right? But you and you might be a filler who's in that position,
Yeah.
and you are going to have to, but you cannot invalidate who you are in the process,
That's right.
right? Like you, Ruth Abigail, as a thinker, like you may come to all these conclusions of, okay, I can't be a thinker in every setting, or I can't use my preference in every setting, but that does not mean who I am is a bad person.
That's
It
right.
just means that I need to shift. Before I really accepted and grew in personality, I thought that the things about me that were unlike the people I was around were negative and needed to change, because I felt like I was constantly under this threat of, if you don't become more like me, you will not succeed.
Yeah.
And so I
Amen.
started trying to become like the people around me because I thought that they were successful. Lo and behold, that was their trauma and their issues that were being projected on me that and now I'm trying to become like your trauma. I'm trying to become like your coping mechanism,
Yeah.
right?
That's right.
Instead of, and it prevents me, and a lot of us are living this life of imitation
Mm.
that is preventing you from dealing with your own trauma and your own issues,
Amen.
because I can't deal with a me that I'm not allowing to manifest.
Ooh, that's good. That's really good. That's really good. That's good. I I had to chuckle a little bit when you were talking about the the example of the CEO, and you have to fire somebody, and here are the three people you're going to fire. Who are you going to fire? I had, you know, I had made a decision, and
Yeah.
in my head, I definitely had. With before you, like 3 seconds after you said it, I was like, I'd probably do that, and I had this
Was it the
whole,
old man?
nope, it was the young one, and
The whippersnapper?
which is crazy, right? It's actually not what I was thinking, but I was thinking, there are probably more people that I could find that could. This is literally, I could find one of those faster than I could this one, who actually is more mature and more experienced. So I'm getting rid of that. I'm gonna find me a new one. That's the exact like way that I, within 10 seconds I came to that conclusion. But that would be, if I would have actually made a decision based on just that would have been a very immature thing to do. um and you also, that's why also you need other people. You have to be in a community of diversity so that you are challenged to shift, right? So I don't think
Mm-hmm.
that mature moment comes internally. It doesn't. It comes externally,
Mm.
because what you don't know. I can't understand what's not naturally in me. I need to be connected to people who are different so that I can learn from them, and whatever they have can be input in they can input into me that then will shift some things that I am now considering. If you're
Mm-hmm.
only around people who are like you, and you're only around, or you're only with yourself, or you only trust yourself, you don't give yourself a chance to mature, because you don't even know what you need to mature. You have
Mm-hmm.
no way of getting that. So I love that example. Um The what's interesting, again, you and I were talking about this earlier, the you felt like you had to conform. For me, I felt like I was overly affirmed and I didn't have to change at all.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's like, hey, you're great at this and you're doing all this stuff. I would hear that too much, right? I've heard that too much, especially in my younger years, and it made me believe I'm good. Like, so the
Mm-hmm.
things about me are just, they're great. So I don't need to really change. I might need to, I might see some weaknesses that I want to shore up. But for the most part, let me just keep going in this direction. And it has landed me not having that, me not having that uh I won't even say desire, but just knowledge that I needed to change. Like,
Yeah.
really put me, as I got older and as I got more responsibility and as I had to do things differently than I was doing before, I made some mistakes that cost me. And now I'm seeing, oh, no, 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 you actually did have many places that you can grow and mature.
Mm-hmm.
And now I'm in a much more, like, now I'm interested in that. Like, I feel like, truly, it's almost, now that I'm saying this, that's really interesting. I never thought about it to this point, but I think that may be one of the reasons I want to start the podcast, because I got to a point where I was like, I gotta unlearn some things, and I didn't realize that until now. I've been
Mm.
overly affirmed in my worlds, and I'm not as, well done as I'd like to have believed. There's some things I need to unlearn about who I am, about how I
Yeah.
move in the world, about some habits I've formed, about people, about relationships, about all of this stuff. Not because what it's not because it was bad, but because it needs to be different in this season. I need to be different in this
Mm.
season,
Yeah.
right? It's not that what how you were was wrong, but as you move forward, you can't always keep what you can't always keep what you had. It won't work. Like,
Mm-hmm.
if you have, it's like going from a car that needs regular gas to a car that needs diesel. Eh, you can't keep the same gas.
Yeah.
Like, it's not gonna work in your car.
Yeah.
And so I have a new car. I need a different gas, different level of gasoline in this car. And that's part of this process. I got to
That's
unlearn that,
good.
right?
Yeah.
So, okay, so conformity, and what's the next phase?
So for me, I was trying to conform to the ideas of what I thought success looked like, what I thought thriving looked like, what I thought a good ministry looked like, good mentorship looked like. And then it was information, right? And I cannot overemphasize the importance of self-awareness and how the different tests we're going to be talking about are information that is needed in order to again form that mold of who you are and understanding what's inside of me,
Mm,
right? And you gotta get access to the information, which is why we're going through these tests. For me, MBTI was the first piece of information that I got about myself that was like, oh, okay, extroverted, this is why I like, being in social settings, right? Intuitive. This is why I can never explain to Ruth Abigail in concrete terms. How I'm gathering information and why it is really difficult for me to be a practical person,
mm,
right?
yeah.
A filler. This is why I have different ideas of how I approach people in different circumstances, because I'm looking person to person versus problem to problem,
Mm,
right? Being a perceiver. This is why I get on Ruth Abigail's nerves, because I
absolutely.
don't like to make decisions,
Absolutely.
because I like to think and ponder before I move, right? And so it was all of that kind of all together that really just gave me the beginning of knowledge, right? But it wasn't until I took the knowledge and really started applying it and really reflecting. Okay, cannot emphasize enough, whatever way you reflect,
Mm,
whether that's in discussion with friends, if that's journaling, if that's taking classes, life coaching, counseling, whatever way it is that you take a step back from yourself and really investigate, how does the knowledge that I've been gaining and the experiences that I've been walking through, what is that really showing me about how I show up in these different circumstances?
Mm,
And once you get through with reflection, then you can begin the process of transformation.
that's good.
Right? But you have to reflect
Mm,
on what you've learned. And we don't do that enough. We don't sit down and actually process information, which is why we don't keep it.
that's right.
Because when you think about remembering something, you have to record it first. You have to retain it, then you have to be able to retrieve it. If you are not recording enough about yourself, if all I had recorded was I'm an ENFP
Mm,
and I hadn't recorded I'm an ENFP who shows up in conversations with friends like this. I'm an ENFP who, when faced with these different circumstances, show up like this. I would not be retaining enough information to retrieve as I go through different things in my life. And we have to make sure that we are reflective because it allows us to have more information that we can pull up about ourselves.
so I think that the that is a struggle for a lot of driven people, and I say this as a
Mm,
driven person, to reflect, right? And to,
yeah.
because reflecting means you have to slow down. One of the things that I consistently struggle with is slowing my pace down. Like, I am a fast mover. I like to move fast. I like to get things done. I like that. That is a that's just a that's just who I am, right? That is a part of my personality. Part of why I
Mm-hmm.
like to make decisions so quickly. It means I can keep moving, right? Um,
Mm-hmm.
but I agree with everything you said. It is important, if you're going to transform, you have to take time to reflect. If you're going to mature, you have to take time to reflect. You cannot get caught up in the busyness of growth that
Mm.
you don't take time to actually do what it's going to take to transform. So, growth is different than transformation. It is not the same thing. I think we assume
Oh.
it is, right? So when you think about something growing, we have to think it's getting bigger. It doesn't
Mm-hmm.
mean it's getting different.
It's not getting better.
It's not getting better, but it's also not getting different. Like,
Yeah.
transformation means I'm this and then I'm that. Growth means I go from here to there. Like, it is a stretch, an expansion. Like, it's the
Like a
volume is
balloon.
bigger, like a
Yeah.
balloon, versus transformation is like a butterfly. It is a caterpillar to a whole different thing. Like, it's
Mm-hmm.
completely different. The
In a
process of
whole different mode of operating.
whole different mode, yes, whole different mode of
Yeah.
operating, because you have a whole new set of tools you ain't had before. The
Mm-hmm.
only way you get there is if you slow down,
Go into
stop,
the cocoon.
go into the cocoon. And when you're in the cocoon, you can't move. you
Yeah.
you there's no movement. There's just
Yeah.
still, there's reflection, there's process, there's understanding, there's learning.
Mm-hmm.
um and then you emerge and you have these new tools that give you to do new things, like fly. Like, you can fly, and you couldn't fly before.
Mm-hmm.
That we got people who want to fly that have not slowed down enough to actually gain wings. You don't have them, so you're over here crawling on the ground as a caterpillar trying to fly. You can't do that. And crawling faster won't make your wings come quicker.
Yeah.
Like, you got to stop crawling for a
Yeah.
minute. And that's something I've really, really had to learn.
Ooh. Ruth, make that the clip. That's good. That's good. Because that's what we do. We try to do
Hmm.
more of the same, thinking that that's going to get us to the next level of our life.
That's
And
right.
the next level of your life is not on the ground, it's in the
Come on.
air.
It's in the air. Let's
It's
let's
in the
go.
air. And until you stop and reflect, you won't see that.
Nope.
You
Nope.
won't see that. I cannot get to where where I'm supposed to get to, where I
Hmm.
have to get to on the ground.
Nope.
And it's going to take a transformative experience to get you to the next level of your life.
Yeah.
And I think that's the mode I'm in right now.
Mm.
I feel like I had to get off the ground.
Yeah.
And it was hard to do.
Hmm.
It was hard to leave the ground because I was like, I'm comfortable here. and
Yeah.
I'm good at what I do.
Man, that's real.
I'm good at what I do, and you know, I'm the crawling with the best of them, you know. But I had to be intentional, in believing that the shift, like becoming the butterfly, was going to be the most beautiful
Mm.
and amazing experience, and allow myself to enter the cocoon again. And that's hard.
That's hard. That's hard,
That's hard.
especially
And
yeah, for
I
our
will
type
I
of people.
will yeah, for sure. I would like to emphasize that we exist in this world of time, and that as a society, we have
Mm.
put time limits and constraints on when we think people should do things and how quickly we think people should do them. And you know, we think, you know, this age, by age 35, you need to be here.
Yep.
And you know, if you're going to take a break, it needs to be this long, or you only need to spend this much time figuring out. God is the author and
Yep.
the finisher of your story.
Come on.
And he knows what every chapter comprises. And he is outside of time. He is not looking to say, oh, yeah, she got 1 month to get it together. You need to spend the time that you need to spend to address the things that have gone unaddressed because you've been too busy.
Mm.
You need to spend the time resting that your body has gone unaddressed because you've been too busy.
Come on.
And we equate productivity with purpose. And we're looking at the Lord and we're saying, look at all of our works. And the Lord is like, I'm not looking with your eyes. Don't look with your eyesight.
Mm.
Like, I'm looking at you, because God cares about us and not
Mm.
as much about what we do. And we have to flip the narrative. You have to take a moment and flip the narrative and say, how do I allow God to take care of me
Mm.
so that I can continue to not just be a vessel that gets poured into and poured out, but a vessel of honor that God
Mm.
loves, and that I allow myself to be built and shaped in the cocoon when it's just me and the creator. And I would encourage all of my middle adult friends. You know what? Have we used the word middle adult since we've been here?
Not yet.
Hello, middle adults.
Hello,
Hey,
middle
we're talking to
adults.
you. We love y'all. We are y'all.
We are
Okay.
y'all. Right.
And let me tell you something. Like, you will have to take a moment. You are going, all of us, my 35 to 50 crew. It's time. It's time to take a moment. It's time to
Mm.
take a step back and to reevaluate, Lord, what is really important in this season?
Mm.
Because I've made everything important except for me and my relationship with you.
Mm.
I've made everything important except for what I have right here in this space, in this cocoon. What am I really focusing on right now? Because the next season we're about to move into, we're going to see God move at such a level that has absolutely nothing to do with our capabilities, our gift
That's it.
sets, none of that.
That's correct.
He
That's
he's
correct.
not he's not depending on you to do what he needs to do in the earth. He's depending on you to simply be a representation of his love and his character, but you can't get that if you're disconnected. So I want to encourage all of us, and I said us because we're all included. I want to encourage all of us to take some time and reconnect with the creator.
So I'll tag this to the end, and then we'll wrap it up. There's a person I listen to. His name is Myron Golden. He's a speaker, author, all this stuff. He has a concept that be do have. He says it's not his concept; it's a biblical concept. But it's
Mm-hmm.
like, we we want to have certain things, whatever it is, right? It could be material things, it could be peace, it could be friendships, it could be whatever the thing is that you want to have. Well, in order to have those things, you have to do certain things to get them, right? So you have to do things to get the things you want. But the key to doing it is becoming a person that can do the things that can get
Mm.
you what you want. So it starts with becoming. It doesn't start with the doing.
Mm.
You can't outdo who you are. It's not possible.
Mm.
You're only
That's
able
good.
to do as much as the person that you have become can do. So if you want to do more, you have to stop and focus on becoming more, which
Mm.
is the process I think that we're describing here, is this process of reconnecting to the one who created you in the first place
Yeah,
and becoming more of a fullness of who he created,
that's
so that
good.
then you're able to do the things that will then get you what it is that you're after.
Yeah.
So we told y'all it was gonna be better in season 2. It's
Season 2 coming in hot.
Yep. Yep. Coming
Yeah.
in hot. Coming in. We is. Yeah. So y'all stay tuned. We gonna do we're gonna do several of these, man, and they're all gonna be
Hmm.
different because they're all hitting on different things, right? These
Yeah,
assessments, don't get it twisted. These are very different conversations because they're
for
handling
sure.
different parts of who you are in different seasons and different different things. So keep tuning in. We're unlearning our personalities this season. Like, share, comment, subscribe. That's right. That's what we're supposed to do. Okay.
Yeah, hit us
Like,
up. We
like,
want to
share,
hear
comment,
from you.
subscribe. We do want to hear from you. We love when you comment on stuff and share stuff. And it is like y'all are listening. We hear it like in person. People come up to me all the time. I watch your stuff. I know they say the same thing to Quita. And then like the numbers say we're listening. Like there are y'all are actually tuning in. So keep tuning in. Let us know what you think. And let's keep unlearning together so that we can experience more freedom.
Yeah.
Peace,
Bye,
y'all.
y'all.